Welcome to the Republic of Middle-Aged Men. Okay, welcome to the Republic of Middle-Aged Men. I'm your host, Tim. Joining me today is Lachlan and Ruben.
Hey.
Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, mate.
Good evening.
Good evening. We're all in lockdown, and we all have our beverage of choice. My beverage of choice tonight is Japanese whiskey. It's this one. It's magnificent. Lachlan, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm just going a gin and tonic. It's getting a little low.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm drinking.
Ooh. Ah, snap.
Having Tim did say a drink of choice is not exactly my drink of choice. It's just what was left in the cupboard. It's not a bad little. It's still a happy coincidence. Don't get me wrong. I love a gin and tonic, but it wasn't exactly a choice.
Yeah, funny enough, that was like a lockdown thing. So from last year, Mother's Day, I bought my wife a bottle of gin, and neither of us ever used to drink gin, and we just started to kind of enjoy it and get into it. So,
the first time I ever tried gin was when I was away on holiday with Tim and his family, and we got in a big debate as to whether it was a woman's drink or not.
I don't remember having that debate.
I won. I won the debate.
Okay,
so funny enough, here we are, the bunch of middle-aged men, and there's 2 out of 3 men drinking gin. Gin and tonic.
I think that was before Ryan Reynolds had his own gin, so it was probably just slow to pick up the go.
Well, my argument that it was a man's drink is that all the old advertisements were from colonial Britain. Yeah. So like they had all these really old posters of like colonial Britain people with the top hats and the monocles, and I'm like, what's more manly than that?
Well, it was a drink of choice for Winston Churchill, so...
I did not know that.
Well, sorry, it's not a gin and tonic. I think it was a martini, so gin and vermouth. But he liked it apparently extra dry. So he said he wants the vermouth in a bottle across the room, just looking at the gin in the glass, not actually. So I'm pretty sure that meant he was just drinking the straight gin. But
well, yeah. It maybe had essence of vermouth.
Can't blame him because that vermouth stuff is nasty.
Yeah, we tried that too when we went away, and that was horrendous. Well, that's cool to talk about some alcohol of choice. But look, let's talk about the show. So we're putting this show together just to hang out and catch up every week. But we've also got some things to sort of work through, for lack of a better term. So we'll just do some general introductions, I guess, about the show first. So we've called this show The Republic of Middle-Aged Men. Our target audience doesn't have to be middle-aged men. We welcome everybody, but we are middle-aged men. We're reading The Republic.
Well, that's how you got me on board. I said, can we do a book club?
I don't know if you used the term book club, because I feel like that's
I didn't. I just wanted to see what
My Little Pony. But let's introduce ourselves very quickly, and then we can start talking about why we want to read this book. So I'll start with you, Ruben. So here's the questions we're all going to answer, and we've answered one of them already. But what is your name? Are you in fact a middle-aged man? What are some of your hobbies? And what is your preferred beverage that you're not drinking tonight?
Okay, first question. Am I a middle-aged man? I don't think it's possible to answer, because how long is a piece of string? I could die tomorrow. Then am I middle-aged? I don't know. But on average, yeah, why not? Call me middle-aged. I'm not entirely sure I want to live to 80, but I'll do my best anyway. So yeah, okay, middle aged. I'll say yes to that.
Okay.
My hobbies are. I have an amateur interest in, and when I say amateur, I mean rank amateur, in philosophy. And apart from that, I used to play basketball, but my knees don't really like that anymore.
Mm.
And then it's really just, I suppose, video games and movies, like most people.
Yeah, nice. Thanks. And how about you, Lachlan? Oh wait, drink of choice. What is the drink of choice?
Oh, I'm a whiskey man.
Anyone in particular?
Off the top of my head, probably Ardbeg, which is a peated whiskey from somewhere, Scotland, maybe. I think you might introduce me into that one, Timmy. But
Nice.
yeah, a bit of peated whiskey and blue cheese never goes astray.
That's soy. All right, and Lachlan, same questions.
Yeah, so middle-aged, I guess, like, I would say I'm on the early cusp. I reckon 40, you're just kind of like cutting your teeth on middle-agedom. But it's...
Middle-aged them.
That's it. That's it. I don't know. I reckon middle age is maybe like where you sort of, I don't know, hit your stride and sort of find your groove in life, and you're sort of feeling comfortable with where you're at. I reckon I do feel like that. So that's probably fair to say. I'll say
That's a good definition.
That's
all right. On that definition, I'm middle aged.
There you go. Interests. Oh, yeah. Well, having 3 kids, I don't have time for hobbies, but I do have interests. I just don't get to do them very often. so car guy through and through, as you could maybe tell from my backdrop here.
Yes.
And if it's got 4 wheels and an engine, I'm interested in it.
Yep.
Not too snobby about what it is. All kinds of things capture my interest. And other than that, I suppose pretty simple sort of stuff. I listen to loads of music, lots of podcasts, movies when I can keep my eyes open long enough, and a bit of amateur gaming. And I say amateur because whenever I play against you guys, I'm always at the bottom of the ladder with whatever we're playing.
I think that might just be we don't play the same games, maybe. I don't know. Like on Forza, I think you'd probably carve me up on Forza, although I have discovered more roads than you now.
Yeah, I think both you guys would still beat me at Forza, even though I'm a car guy and an amateur gamer. I bring the amateur to amateur gamer.
Look, there's a component of Forza I think you'd have us on, which is finding really weird things and customizing them.
That's probably true. I'll take that. I'll take that.
And preferred beverage?
Yeah, look, I'd say the Botanist gin at the moment is a favourite. It's pretty darn good. So I'll go with that right now.
Beautiful. All right, and I'll answer the same questions. So I'm obviously Tim, and I am, in fact, a middle-aged man, as in I am 40 or above. I did wiki search middle-aged, and not just wiki, but Googled it, and there are different opinions. Some people say it starts at 46. But I did find a lot of references to 40 sort of being the go. So, I'll say yes. But also agree that we're at the early stages of middle age. And that's a lie I'll tell myself until I'm at the end stages of middle age. Some of my hobbies or interests, I always get told I have too many. But, I love gaming. I love cars. Love music. I've got guitars and things hanging up on the walls up here. And recently I've been starting to read some philosophy as well, and really enjoying that. My preferred beverage depends on my mood. I'm a very moody person, but generally it would be whiskey, and generally it's Japanese whiskey, which I'm drinking tonight, so that's pretty good. And my brother-in-law put me onto that, and I'm forever grateful. So okay, let's move on to our introduction of this book, The Republic by Plato. Lachlan, I'm going to start with you, and And because I think your answer will be interesting, and not that ours won't be, but I think we kind of dragged you into this, so I want to understand, like, what are you hoping to get out of reading The Republic, and what do you know about it?
Yeah, look, I say I'm mostly along for the ride through the journey of friendship. So I'm not in the habit of reading philosophy, but I am kind of keen to give it a go and see what I can learn from the experience. I think I mentioned to you previously in another phone call, I think like as close as I've gotten to Plato's Republic was seeing Socrates in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So,
so you're a highly cultured man.
Absolutely, man.
Looking at this topic here, yeah.
And please be warned, I will call him Socrates as we're discussing this book in the future. So,
oh, please do.
That will not be vetoed. And what do you think you'll get out of this, or what do you hope to get out of it?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I guess I'm just open to the experience and just seeing what I can take from it. It'd be great to see if I do sort of learn something and can maybe take even if it's just a different worldview, and obviously it's from a different time and place. So it'd be interesting to see how that sort of translates to the modern world, and if there is some, commonality you can draw from that, and utilize to reflect on.
Yeah, thanks, man. So Ruben, we started talking about. I think I messaged you saying, "Hey, I bought this book at Mount Druitt Shops, which was in stock." Surprising.
What was it worth at Mount Druitt Shops?
It was on sale. It had been there for quite a while. It had a lot of dust on it.
Was it printed in 1986?
Yeah, it was less than $8.
Is the pages of your book, is the paper yellow or white?
It's like 50-year-old teeth white. If you had durries and cigars, like Churchill teeth, we'll call them Churchill teeth white. Yeah, so I think I was messaging you and you were like, "Hey, we should read that together," and I was like, there's an idea. So that was definitely a contributing factor to us setting up this podcast. So yeah, what are you thinking, Ruben? Why do you want to read it, and what are you hoping to get out of it?
Well, this particular book, because I read quite a lot of other stuff. On a side note, I'm not actually a particularly good reader. It's one of those things where you really enjoy doing something when you want to do it, even though you do it badly. Throughout all my other reading, this is one of the books that comes up all the time. And I recently went through a series of lectures, university level lectures, which is one of the wonderful things about YouTube these days. You can find just about anything, but by a bloke called Arthur Holmes from Wheaton College, and they were filmed in the 90s. But at any rate, he does a history of philosophy class, and he said that the Republic is pretty much the second thing you should read apart from the Bible if you want to understand Western culture. So that's why it's always been on my list.
Okay. And so what do you hope to get out of that?
Well, just, from what I've read, like ancillary to this, it's basically almost where it all started in terms of philosophy and governmental theory and the whole lot. Apparently this is kind of where it came from, so why not start at the beginning? Awesome.
Why do I want to read it? I've started, so I'm certainly not as well read as Ruben is with this stuff, but a few years ago I started getting into some guys who were online, and one of those guys obviously was Peterson, and he refers to a lot of philosophy and Bible and other references as well, and so that got me sort of looking at some philosophy, and I kind of got into Stoicism a bit, and so I've read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. I've started reading a book which is like an overview of philosophy, and so similarly it is a book that's referred to very regularly from a lot of people that I've listened to and from books that I'm reading. So I thought, equally, it's meant to be one of the best ones, so why not have a read of that and see what I think. And what I hope to get out of it is a better understanding of, similarly to what you're saying, Ruben, just, the culture that we're a part of, how did this contribute? Is there relevance to it now? Which I'm sure there is some relevance there for sure. And, is there any practical application of any of the lessons in this book? Which is one of the reasons I love Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, because it has helped me in very many ways, in a practical sense as well. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping there's some things in there that we can use practically, and also just to sort of bolster our understanding of where we live and how things came to be. So yeah,
excellent.
Now, do we have an introduction on what it's about? If we don't, I'm happy to.
I can give you like the elevator pitch, so to speak. Look, it's considered a Socratic dialogue, and essentially what that means is the main character in the book is Socrates. I think you might have heard of him. And it's set up as a conversation between him and other people at the time. It wasn't written by Socrates, it was written by Plato later. So it's called Plato's Republic, but the main character in it is actually Socrates. They reckon it was written about 380 BC. They're not sure about that, but the general consensus is that it was probably written around the time of something called the 30 Tyrants. So basically there was a war between Athens and Sparta. Yes, that Sparta. And yes, that Athens. And anyone that's played Assassin's Creed will kind of have actually a bit of an idea about what that's about, believe it or not. There was a big war. Sparta ended up winning. And essentially Athens ended up being ruled by 30 oligarchs. And they were called the 30 Tyrants. So I can't remember whether this was supposed to be set. I think this is supposed to be set before the 30 Tyrants came into power. So that would place it sometime during the Peloponnesian War, which is what they call that war between Athens and between Athens and Sparta. So that's kind of roughly where it's from. And basically, essentially it's a discussion on what is justice and what is the correct way to structure a society.
That's a super introduction, bro. That was awesome.
Nice, thanks, man.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, look, we'll start reading this book, and our plan is to work through this chapter by chapter. Not obviously reading the book out on this podcast, but just sort of talking about each chapter as we get through it.
Can I be Socrates? If we're going to do a reenactment.
Yeah, we could
do a reenactment. We really could.
I bet it's been Joe Butler for Sparta.
I actually don't think there's any Spartans in it. I'm sorry to disappoint you, man.
See, anyway, okay. All right. So let's move on to our second part of our show. Now that we've had a chat about what we're going to be reading together, and that is just talking about the thing that we want to talk about. So this is an opportunity for each of us to just sort of bash each other's ears about something for a few minutes each. So we'll call it, I don't know, the Republic's free speech segment or something like that.
Oh no, we have to figure that. I'm surely in Athens they had a place they got together and discussed stuff. Let's figure out what that's called and we'll have that for next week.
Yes. Okay. That sounds like good homework for somebody.
And it can't be bath house. We're not calling it the bath house.
What about the Pantheon?
Something like that, yeah. Pantheon?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know.
That's it. Yeah.
I think you're onto something.
Somewhat.
I think you're onto something. Some of my mates will think that's something to do with the Penrith Panthers for sure.
No, it's not the Panther Dome, okay?
Oh, okay.
That's it. We're calling it the Panther Dome.
Yeah, this is where Cleary does his thing. No. All right, so free time. So who wants to go first to just talk about a thing?
Well, I'll talk about something I'm excited about. It's nothing of any relevance or importance whatsoever.
Well, that's perfect.
But I just got car parts delivered, so I'm excited. That's it.
What were they?
I got some brand new wheels that I special ordered from Japan for my 1992 Suzuki Cappuccino. So, which is a car I want to see Ruben try and get into.
It's a go-kart.
It'd pretty much be a shoe for you, I think. But,
I tried to get Ruben into my yellow car once, and that didn't work.
No.
So,
Yeah.
do you remember?
Just need to make it a convertible. He'd be fine.
Yeah. I think we had
I'm okay with confined spaces, but that was a bit much.
Yeah. I mean, even with my 7 to 9-year-old nieces and nephews getting in that car, there's no room to move. So,
do you reckon the Cappuccino is bigger or smaller than that?
Do you know what? It's actually got decent sort of legroom in it. So it's probably more modern in the... Well, it is definitely more modern. Just in
also
the
missing a
ergonomics.
back seat.
Yeah, but you might just find the angle of entry a little bit challenging. And unless you've been keeping up with your Pilates, it could be a battle.
You mean it's difficult for a middle-aged man, is what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of my stat.
You might want to limber up a little bit so you don't pull a groin muscle or something. Or out.
Timmy, what's your card called again? What's Winnie? Tim's got something.
It's a Austin A30. It's 65-ish years old, and I think it weighs a very similar weight to your car, Lachlan. So mine's about 670, I think. What's yours?
What's the wheelbase difference between that and the Cappuccino?
Yeah, so it's less than me in weight difference, but mine's a 4-seater 4-door car. Yours is a 2-seater 2-door car. So I think it would be more spacey for the person in the front than my car.
Yeah. Leg room, I think you'd be winning in the Cappuccino.
And you would have double the horsepower. I've got 30, and that was 60 plus years ago. So if you lose half a horsepower a year, I'm in the negative horsepower.
Yeah. This is a key car from Japan. So the law for the licensing in Japan means that the car cannot produce any more than 64 horsepower. So that's what it has, 64 horsepower, which is ironically the exact same horsepower as what my old 1971 MG Midget had. The exact same horsepower. It's pretty similar kind of like size, weight. It's like a more modern version of the Midget, actually. I really like it. But,
so what are these parts going to do for your Cappuccino?
Just look badass, that's all it's about. So. Look, I've sort of got a vision in my head about how I want this car to be, which is like, I suppose, like a 90s JDM tuner sort of vibe. So when I was, sort of 20 and looking at all those kind of like Japanese imports and stuff, it's going to look the way it would have done then, I suppose. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna
nice.
Have some fun. See, that must be the middle-age thing, because it's like midlife crisis going to buy a convertible, right? So
yeah, but you had one in your 20s, so you're just being consistent.
That's true. It's a consistent crisis.
How many convertibles have you owned, just before we move on?
It's just the 2. That's it. It's just 2.
I've also.
But I did have I had the first one for yeah. I had the first one for 11 years though, so something like that.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Ruben. What's your conversation of choice?
I just thought, just with the Cappuccino conversation, I realised I hadn't mentioned we're getting a new car too, and it's kind of the opposite of a Cappuccino.
It's not a Hummer.
No, actually it's bigger. It's bigger than
What are you
half.
getting?
No, we're getting the Hyundai. I think it's called an Escalade.
No,
What's-
I know the one you mean. 'Cause I was looking at it too for our family car. Funnily enough.
Yeah.
Um,
That's not called Escalade. What is it called?
no, it's
That's
an
right.
American place or something.
I should probably know what it's called when I'm
Not
going to buy one.
not
But
not Esplanade. What is it? Something like that, though, right?
yeah. Anyway, yeah. So we're getting one of those,
Mm.
which I reckon we could probably drive the Cuppacino into the boot.
Yeah,
Anyway, all right. So talking points. Just something been on my
Palisade.
mind for Palisade. That's it. Nailed it. Yep.
Palisade. Nice.
I just with all this, everything that's going on with the lockdowns and the protests and all that sort of gear, I noticed a comment on Facebook that I couldn't ignore, and it kind of plays into the whole Socratic dialogue theme. But someone wrote, and it's not and it's a fair comment. Freedom at what cost? About the protests, and so I replied to it. That's a fair comment, but the inverse of that question is safety at what cost? So that's something I've been thinking about for a couple of days. I don't really want to go into details and discussions, but I don't know. That's just something that's been on my mind.
Yeah, cool, man. I feel you there. There's this balance between, is safety about zero harm, or is it about acceptable risk? And
Yeah, well, I would certainly say it's about acceptable risk, but that's going to be different for each individual.
And that's life, right? I mean, if you don't take any risk, then what kind of life is it? You're going to have some risk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
we could almost eliminate road trauma if we all drove at 35 kilometres an hour. But who wants to do that?
So I'm not sure about that. I'm sure people died when everyone was just driving horses.
Well, I mean, when I say 35 kilometers an hour, I just remember reading at one point that they did testing on the human body, and apparently we can take impacts up to 35. The human rib cage can take impacts of up to 35 kilometers an hour. So I was just,
There you go. I know my horse analogy is dumb, but it's one of those things that, as a middle-aged man, we probably think, wow, people are soft. But people who are older than us probably look at us and go, wow, these guys are soft. And I think that's that's part of the journey that society's on with safety. But anyway, it's I'm very thankful for safety. Safety definitely makes things safer. But there has to be a point where we go, like Game of Thrones, man, Vala Morghulis, like all men must die. Something's going to get you there eventually.
I think a lot of times it's about you can jeopardize your own safety and that's fine, but it's when you jeopardize others' safety, when it's a choice out of their control, that's when it's
certainly always the question.
Yeah, that's really fair.
Because I just remember like my grandfather, when he was getting older, or he was quite old, and he'd had a stroke, lost a bit of vision in one eye, and he was not a great driver towards the end anyway. And my dad took the keys off him, and they had this big argument about him not being able to drive anymore. And it was a philosophical debate here. Because he's like, I don't care if I have a car accident and I die. Like I'm 86 years old. Like who cares? And Dad's sort of going, yeah, but what if you take
What about
some
the person you run into?
kid with them, or whatever it may well be. So
yeah,
and that's kind of the argument, I guess.
That's a really, really fair way of looking at it.
I think so.
And I think that's the difficulty with this virus is, I would be willing to take that risk for myself personally. Like, I'd be willing to not even get vaccinated personally, although I have, if it was just me. But because there's other people involved,
You've got to take that into account.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying that there's a right answer here for all people, but I think it's a fair comment to point out that things like this impact other people as well as yourself. And I think part of having responsible freedom is taking into consideration the needs of others as well.
Yeah, certainly. So what's been on your mind, big fella?
The thing to talk about this week. Look, I've been doing a lot of cooking lately to sort of keep my mind happy. But what I've really enjoyed over the last couple of days is actually doing some multiplayer Battlefield online with you guys and some other mates. That's just been a really good stress relief. It's just been great to jump online and play okay but not play amazing. But who cares, right? We're just having fun and blowing stuff up, and I'm really looking forward to the next Battlefield. I'm especially excited about the new game mode that's coming with Battlefield, with you can throw in Spitfires against fighter jets and that sort of stuff. I'm super keen to have a play in that sandbox.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I want to see like
clip
Sherman
of
tanks.
what was it? Knives versus the
Shock battles.
yeah. It looked like a laugh and a half.
Yeah.
And it'd be good to see how many World War II tanks does it take to take out a modern tank and things like that. It should be good fun.
Oh yeah, that'll be awesome. So look, I'm just looking forward to that. I think the fact that they're giving you the keys to the sandbox so you can customize it so much and do whatever you want, it's going to create some great times. And I'm really hopeful that a lot of the people on my friends list get this game so I can host the server for a while. And imagine getting like a dozen people all on this version of this game and doing stupid things like that, like reviver paddles versus knives, and Sherman tanks versus jeeps. something silly. I'm really keen, and I'm really happy that they've binned the whole social justice warrior angle with their advertising as well.
Are you reckon I won't sneak in?
It probably will at some level, but equally I think it's appropriate in a game like this to sneak it in if you're going to sneak it in anyway. Like trying to sneak it into a World War I game or a World War II game, it felt very artificial. But putting it into a game where you can basically do anything, you can pull a World War II person into a future war, then it makes sense to, like, if you want to throw it in there, go for it.
Well, you're talking about like revisionist history and where they're going and rewriting World War One as though it was fought by men and women of every country and creed and all together.
Yeah, or taking very, very specific examples of people who did amazingly brave things, but then trying to make that was normal and that
right,
was represented in a way that it wasn't. And I think that it's probably done from a heart of trying to be honourable to those people, but equally, to me, it's like if you won the gold medal 3 Olympics in a row, and then in 30 years' time, they make a game where you just didn't win those gold medals, but everybody from your country won those gold medals. It kind of makes it less special as well.
Sure.
So I think history is what it is, and if you're making a game about World War II, make it about World War II. But right now,
don't make it about current day.
Yeah, but if you want to put that in the current game, go for it. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm pretty happy with that. Well, I think that'll do, guys. I feel like this is a pretty good first episode. So we'll all get our copies. So I'm reading it on this Green Book edition, which is published by, who published this? Arcturus, and it was published in 2017. What version are you going to read, Ruben?
I've got a Penguins Classic with a pretty picture on the front.
Oh, nice.
I don't know when this one's printed. Where does it say? It says somewhere in the book, right? At
It
the front,
said it on the second page for me. I think, or third page maybe. Third page. It was on the third page, just before contents. Not sure if it
shows how much I know about books. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty. It's been printed pretty recently. It's got that new book smell.
Very good. How about your copy, Lachlan? Are you going digital?
Yeah, man, I'm on the tablet.
Nice.
So I've got the Amazon Classics edition. So hopefully it's not the Bezos version, but
well, we're going to find out. It could be an interesting conversation if you've got the memory hole 1984 version.
So it's actually got quite a big sort of introduction and analysis at the start of it too. So that'll be interesting.
Excellent.
I have actually started a little bit. So
nice.
If you do like podcasts, Spencer Clavin does a good podcast called Young Heretics, and about 2 weeks ago he did an introductory episode to the first book, Plato's Republic. So if you want sort of a broad overview, roughly what I said at the start, I ripped off him. If you want to, if you do want a bit of an introduction, that's not a bad listen. So I can send you a link if you want.
Check that out.
Sweet. I quite enjoy his show.
Good,
I've listened to quite a few, and it's good. It's good. Okay. Well, thanks for listening, those of you who are listening. We look forward to reading and discussing the Republic over the coming weeks. If you want to have a look at our website, we are at the 3dubs.therepublicofmam.com, and we're on YouTube and Facebook, and I'll be looking to move us to Spotify and a couple of other channels in the near future. And remember, the Republic wasn't built in a day, and neither were middle-aged men. So long live the Republic. Take care, and we'll see you next time. And thanks for joining us, Lachlan and Ruben. I tip my hat at you, gentlemen.
Righto. It was good to catch up anyway.
Cap to you.
Cheers,
Likewise. Cheers.